The year is 2009. You load up the brand new DLC Zombies map of Overextension and cautiously walk around as the undead slowly circle you. You are afraid. The year is 2018. You launch the brand new map 9 for the very first time, slowly walking around the spawn room, looking up as you realize you are trapped in a zombie-infested coliseum. You are in awe. In my personal opinion, the atmosphere of COD Zombies has taken a major fall from grace over the last 5 years. Now, to make sure we are all on the same page throughout this deep dive, I want to express what the Call of Duty Zombies atmosphere is to me. In my opinion, there are 3 tenets that make up the Zombies aesthetic we have grown to love. Number 1, challenge. Number 2, fear or visual appeal. Number 3, distance from codification. To start, challenge is self-explanatory. Are you afraid of dying and losing your progress, or is it simply a cakewalk to get to round 60 or 70? Fear or visual appeal refers to the actual aesthetic of the Zombies map. Is it terrifying or as anxiety-inducing as World at War Overextension, or is it as jaw-dropping as 9? Distance from codification refers to how unique the mode feels from multiplayer, campaign, or even Warzone. For example, does Shadows of Evil feel anything like Black Ops 3's multiplayer? Now that you're aware of my criteria for a great COD Zombies atmosphere, let's take the majority of this deep dive to look at my 5 main points, as well as something special I'm saving for the end. The codification of zombies, overextension of Treyarch, loss of mystery, decline of fear, and the removal of difficulty all have been key contributors to the downfall of atmosphere in Call of Duty Zombies. Surprisingly, the release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 had a major impact on the Treyarch Zombies mode, and it's a primary cause for the codification of zombies. To fully understand why, we have to pull our timeline back an extra 2 years and observe a game outside of the Call of Duty realm, Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does Fortnite have anything to do with COD Zombies? I promise it'll make sense, just give me a minute to explain. Towards the end of 2017, Fortnite began to reach extreme levels of popularity, capitalizing on the new big thing in the gaming industry, Battle Royales. Other titles such as H1Z1 and PUBG really brought this new genre of gaming to the public eye. Then, Fortnite came in with a more accessible, more versatile, and more optimized game, bringing in players from many different age groups. At this point, it essentially had the entire gaming industry waving the white flag, including Call of Duty. Activision saw the quick emergence of Fortnite and other battle royales and unsurprisingly wanted to try and capitalize on the genre. Unfortunately, Call of Duty Black Ops 4's attempt, known as Blackout, was unsuccessful compared to the high hopes of Activision. On top of this, Black Ops 4 Zombies was very disliked compared to previous titles. However, Call of Duty was not done there. You see, while Treyarch was forced to rush out Blackout in around 1 year, Activision allowed Infinity Ward 2 years to produce Warzone. When you really take a look at the timing of this battle royale, just about everything went perfectly. Warzone released on March 10th, 2020, which also happened to be exactly when the entire world was shut down due to COVID-19. The mass amounts of free time associated with the global pandemic, combined with the fact that Warzone was a well-made, free product, ultimately became the perfect storm for success that COD desperately needed. How was the Zombies game mode affected? As I mentioned previously, Black Ops 4 Zombies was not very liked by the community due to a variety of factors, some of which include the new Chaos storyline, overcomplicated maps, and the reworked perk system. Naturally, with the success of Warzone combined with the failures of BO4 Zombies, Treyarch decided to try something new with Cold War. They took an ultra-simplistic approach. For example, Cold War went back to an Ether storyline, dropping Chaos altogether. They made very simple, straightforward maps and went back to a similar variation of the original perk system, ultimately creating a much more simplistic approach to zombies compared to Black Ops 4. Now, here's where Warzone had a major influence. Cold War Zombies adopted a variety of Warzone traits including custom loadouts, armor, score streaks, buy stations, similar HUD elements, and even more that I'm forgetting. These additions to Cold War Zombies were extremely damaging to its atmosphere. In fact, Each of my tenets were harmed by these changes. Armor, score streaks, loadouts, and buy stations all made the game significantly easier, reducing not only the challenge but also the fear of zombies. Unfortunately, codification was greatly increased, as all of these were changes imported from Warzone, as well as a HUD that looked straight out of multiplayer. Honestly, why does Call of Duty Zombies need a minimap? The impact of Modern Warfare 2019 on zombies does not quite end here. Instead, it directly leads us into the overextension of Treyarch. The success of this Call of Duty, or more specifically its Warzone mode, inspired Activision to ride or die with this game engine. Modern Warfare 2019 was developed on the IW 8.0 engine, which is described on Wikipedia as a heavily rebuilt and overhauled version of the IW engine with much improved lighting, rendering, physics, textures, audio, etc. Before 2019, Call of Duty titles were typically developed on different engines from different developers. These studios take turns making COD games. Their names are Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Infinity Ward. As I said previously, up until 2019, these three studios stuck with their own engines. For example, Treyarch used a different one than Sledgehammer, but in 2019, this all changed. Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare used the IW 8.0 engine, and the next year, Black Ops Cold War used the exact same one. You see, this change created an insane amount of laziness within Activision. Each and every Call of Duty was now directly linked with one another, making it very easy to transfer files between games. Nowadays, every time a new Zombies mode is released, plenty of assets from Warzone and multiplayer are directly ported over, which blends all of these modes into each other and produces very little creativity. On top of this, Treyarch is now the only company developing zombie games. Back in the day, the Zombies mode was made by a new studio every year, but now Treyarch had to make zombies for Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 6 in a short 5-year period. So to give a quick recap, Treyarch's resources have been greatly overextended in the last 5 years. Apparently, they have been asked to do much more than their bandwidth can handle, leading to heavily unfinished products that have little to no atmosphere, such as Vanguard Zombies. The great downfall of atmosphere in Call of Duty Zombies can largely be attributed to the loss of mystery in the mode. Think of the first time you played Transit. You look outside and see a desolate wasteland with no end in sight. You hear a bus honking at you, and you quickly build a mannequin with a fan on it to open a door. I'm willing to bet you were immediately confused and intrigued. Now compare this to a much more recent launch map. Think of the first time you played Die Machine. You spawn in with a gun of your choice, you immediately see the first ever Zombies map, Nocturne Toten, and the announcer tells you where to go. You might have still been intrigued and excited to play this new Zombies experience, but there is no mystery to be found. There are far less hidden secrets and things to uncover. In many ways, modern Zombies holds your hand through the experience, creating absolutely no mystery. The greatest example of this is seen with a special type of Zombies game mode, Outbreak or Modern Warfare Zombies. In case you don't know, a new type of experience has taken over Zombies since 2020. Cold War introduced a mode called Outbreak, which consisted of your team fighting zombies on an open world map. Instead of typical rounds, players were challenged with completing a variety of objectives while fighting the undead. While some enjoy this version of Zombies, many others, including myself, are very critical of it due to multiple reasons. One of those main reasons being how religiously it holds your hand. The objectives within Outbreak are similar to that of Easter eggs within typical Zombies. However, within this mode, it often tells you exactly what to do, erasing any of the mystery. While Modern Warfare 3's zombie game mode is a little different than Outbreak, they both share the same flaw. If we look back at one of my main 3 tenets of a great Zombies atmosphere, you will see fear or visual appeal. For example, I just used Cold War's Outbreak to showcase how mystery has left modern Zombies. Now, let me ask you, is Outbreak anywhere near as fear-inducing as maps such as World at War Verrucht? The answer is no, largely because Outbreak tells you exactly what to expect. There is no lack of information. Almost everything is known to you. Whereas, look at Verrucht. There's nothing told to the player. They have to learn what perks to buy first, what doors to open, and what spot is the best for survival. Outbreak coddles the player, telling them where to go next, what to do, and how good their gun is from the rarity. Overall, there is no mystery, so there is no fear, and there's little to no atmosphere. Fear truly is a pivotal part to the atmosphere of zombies, especially in the early days. When the mode began with Noctur and Toten, fear was the entire purpose. The developers of World at War made Call of Duty Zombies on the side as nothing more than a passion project. It just so happened to become greatly successful for Activision, helping bring Call of Duty into a new level of prominence. Following World at War, both Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 really made an effort to prioritize the fear-inducing nature of the Zombies mode. Jimmy Zielinski, the lead developer behind Zombies, naturally began to bring the franchise into a more complex direction, creating bigger, more ambitious maps for Black Ops 1. On top of this, the first ever main Easter egg quest was created on Ascension, truly signifying the development of COD Zombies. Black Ops 2 began in a similar state as Black Ops 1. Easter eggs and the story were important to the mode, but it hadn't become the main focus of Zombies quite yet. At this point, Black Ops 2 had an atmosphere focused 50% on fear and anxiety, with the other 50% being made up of storyline and Easter eggs. Following Black Ops 2, fear itself began to decline within the game mode. Black Ops 3 greatly ramped up the focus on Easter eggs and complexity within Zombies. The best example of this being Shadows of Evil and its more colorful aesthetic. Black Ops 3 really was the point where the Zombies mode shifted away from the horror aspect and really leaned into the story and experience of the gameplay. In my opinion, this is where Zombies shines the most. Complex but not overwhelming maps that are visually awesome and have a hint of terror. At this point in the franchise, fear declined exponentially compared to the World at War days. However, it was still present. Fear was now only 25% of the atmosphere, but as I said, that's all it really needed to be. Or maybe not, if you're Treyarch. With the release of Black Ops 4, the overall atmosphere of Zombies shifted once again, moving even further away from fear. BO4 Zombies had almost no sense of fear or anxiety. Unfortunately, Cold War continued this decline of fear even further, and unlike Black Ops 4, there was also much less focus on the Easter eggs and storyline. So essentially, Cold War dropped any essence of the atmosphere that we know and love. Before we move on, there is another aspect regarding the decline of fear that I believe is worth mentioning. We have all gotten old. Of course, the mystique and anxiety brought to us Zombies players would decline over the years. We are not going to be nearly as fearful of Kino der Toten as we were in 2011. The massive decline of fear over the years plus our old age makes it feel like an even bigger drop in quality when looking at the Call of Duty Zombies atmosphere, which directly brings us into our last and arguably most significant point. Real quick, before we get into the last major reason, I would ask that you consider subscribing to the channel. It's completely free and gets you more videos from me. The atmosphere of Call of Duty Zombies has been greatly damaged by the decline of difficulty within the mode. Since Black Ops 3, the developers at Treyarch began adding a variety of new items and abilities that made the game mode much easier. For the sake of this video, I will be referring to these gameplay features as crutches. To clarify, I would define crutches as features that make the game significantly easier, and they are especially bad when given to the player for free, or even worse, with the player's wallet. Now, I will note, crutches have almost always existed in Zombies. Monkey bombs, wonder weapons, traps, and perks are all examples of crutches. However, each of these require the player to pay some sort of price, and they are each available in moderation. For example, traps are expensive and can only be purchased after a cooldown. Another example being the limited amount of ammo for wonder weapons. So now that we have an understanding of crutches, let's take a look at Black Ops 3 Zombies. The most obvious example of a crutch is Gobblegum. These pay-to-win pieces of candy can completely shift your Zombies match from a slight boost to making the player basically unstoppable. Now I will say, I'm not the biggest hater of Gobblegum, just because their power does vary and you can totally play BO3 without using them, which is the route that I usually go. Overall, Gobblegum are a negative influence on Zombies, as they were the first big example of a crutch within the mode. Looking at Black Ops 4, you will see how this problem became even worse. The player was now forced to carry around a life-saving specialist weapon at all times, as well as having Elixir always on your screen, which were essentially rebranded Gobblegums. While they weren't necessarily examples of crutches, Black Ops 4 also gave the player very useful grenade options, 200 health, and customizable weapons from the moment you spawn. Without a doubt, these changes removed much of the difficulty within Zombies, especially in the early rounds. Players were given armor, an overpowered workbench, and significantly easier zombies to face. In its current state, Call of Duty Zombies is pretty easy, even for me, as I consider myself a fairly average player. Hopefully, the lack of difficulty in Zombies can be improved in the future, and crutch items can be avoided. However, I'm not too confident about this based on the fact that Black Ops 6 will bring back Gobblegums. Overall, difficulty is an integral part of Call of Duty Zombies, and without it, the atmosphere greatly suffers. The video is not done here. We have a new Call of Duty game coming out next week, and with that, we have a brand new aesthetic. Now, to answer your question, will Black Ops 6 Zombies have a great return to form atmosphere? Probably not, but I think it will be the best we have seen since Black Ops 4. Let me explain. If we look back at my 3 tenets of a successful Zombies atmosphere, we will see challenge, fear or visual appeal, and distance from codification. As far as challenge goes, we don't really know. The best information we have on BO6 difficulty is when they let a variety of YouTubers play Liberty Falls early. While many Zombies creators were there, some other popular streamers such as Duke Dennis were there as well. Duke is in no way a big fan of Zombies. In fact, I'm not sure he's played much at all. However, on this one and only playthrough of Liberty Falls, he got to around 50 in just about 2 hours, which is very fast compared to many other Zombies games. So far, it's safe to say that this rendition of Zombies isn't very challenging. I will note that based on community feedback, I would not be surprised if they ramped up the difficulty for the full release, or potentially they just made it easier for the streamers who got to play earlier, especially those who aren't known in the Zombies community. Overall, the difficulty is likely going to be on the lower side, and if I were to guess, it would be somewhere around Cold War's level of challenge. Now, let's take a look at my second tenet of atmosphere, fear or visual appeal. So far, we have only gotten a taste of 2 Black Ops 6 maps, Terminus and Liberty Falls. I will preface this by saying that these maps are not out yet, and I could be completely wrong here. In my opinion, Terminus looks both visually appealing and fear-inducing. The cool setting of an infested island is very similar to Zetsubo no Shima, but they managed to make it look much different, and the features such as boat travel really intrigued me in a visual and gameplay sense. On top of this, the map looks pretty close quarters, which intensifies the fear aspect greatly. Liberty Falls, on the other hand, doesn't look super visually appealing to me. Its colors are sort of bland, and the town itself doesn't look as decimated as what an overrun zombie town should be like, and honestly, in no way does this map seem anxiety or fear-inducing to me. My last tenet of a great Zombies atmosphere is distance from codification. Now, I'll be honest, Black Ops 6 will likely fail in this department. For example, the HUD is quite abysmal, but I will say I am happy they are giving you the option to customize it to some extent. To continue, armor, loadouts, and the minimap are making a return to Zombies, and in my opinion these features belong in Warzone. Overall, I don't have the highest expectations for the atmosphere of Black Ops 6 Zombies, but I do have fairly high hopes for the gameplay, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't ecstatic for BO6. If you enjoyed the downfall of atmosphere in Call of Duty Zombies, please check out the Forgotten History of the Monkey Bomb. I promise it's an amazing deep dive that I made recently on my channel. And if you're still here, please consider subscribing and go watch that video like I said. Have a great one. Goodbye.